The MCU's newest movie, Thunderbolts, is finally out, and honestly, I am surprised. That really is one of the best feelings, you know? Like when you watch a trailer for a movie, and it doesn't really move you one way or another, you don't really think much of it, but then you actually see the movie itself, and it ends up being way better than you thought it was going to be. And I can confidently say, since Endgame, Thunderbolts is one of Marvel Studios' best movies. Now, before we get into everything, what's good, guys? It's DemiM7. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. Please hit that like and subscribe button. It would mean everything to me. Now, with Thunderbolts, the formula for it is pretty similar to movies that we've seen in the past, most specifically stuff like the Suicide Squad or even to some extent Guardians of the Galaxy. You've got this group of misfits that aren't really great people or have done some really bad stuff, and they have to work together to stop this really bad thing. Obviously, I'm trying to be as vague as possible because I don't want to spoil anything in this video. So to get this out of the way now, yeah, Florence Pugh is basically the star of this movie. She has the most to work with. Her character has the most that's going on behind the scenes that you end up seeing bits and pieces of as the movie goes along. And then we see bits and pieces of what all the other team members are kind of going through. Now, admittedly, some team members end up getting more shine than others, but that's just kind of what happens with these movies. And for me, everyone in the cast does a really good job, but you know how I mentioned that Florence Pugh is the star of the movie? The one person that stole every scene that he was in was David Harbour as Red Guardian. This dude was hilarious. He has this lovable, oafish quality to him. He's just hilarious with everything that he says or everything that he tries to do. He really was a scene stealer in every sense of the word. Now, what I really appreciate about this movie and what I think really helps it stand out amongst other MCU movies is its main themes. The movie's main themes are about loneliness and being a part of a family, being a part of a group, having people around you, not being alone. Like I mentioned earlier, you kind of get these peeks into what these characters have been going through, and a lot of it is bad. And that feeling of loneliness can really consume us, and it can make us do things that we don't want to do, and frankly, it just makes us unhappy for our entire lives. Sometimes you have this idea of what being a part of something really is, and then when you finally have it, it's not really that. It's the little things that you never really paid attention to. I just thought it was a really nice core message to have for a movie like this. Another big thing that the movie tackles is the idea of how our mistakes in the past don't define who we can choose to be going forward. Taking Florence Pugh's character as an example, Yelena did a lot of bad things as a child and growing up into the mercenary that she becomes. We see glimpses and we see full-on scenes of some of those more traumatic moments. And knowing that she's been holding on to these feelings of grief and regret even into her adult life, it is very profound in a way. The same thing applies with someone like US Agent, where if you saw Winter Soldier and Falcon, that whole show, then you know his backstory, all that kind of good stuff. But in this movie, you see one scene in particular from his life that he's also been holding on to. He becomes a more sympathetic character just by the simple fact that you see what he's been holding on to and what he's been dealing with behind his mind. And you see that same approach happen with multiple characters in this movie, and I loved that. Now, being that we have this group of characters that we have, the action sequences are actually really nice. A lot of nice set pieces, a lot of nice montages. It just all works really well. Now, almost like with every other MCU movie, there is some moments where the CGI becomes a bit obvious and it doesn't look quite as nice as other parts of the movie, but it is what it is. And of course, I can't really talk about Thunderbolts without talking about Sentry. This isn't a spoiler or anything. We all know that Sentry is in the movie. We saw him in the trailers. And I'm going to put it like this. If you don't know anything about Sentry, if you don't know anything about the character, go into this movie completely blind. Do not look him up. Do not see anything like online about him because he really is a fascinating character. It was really nice to see this version of the character come to life and really see how he kind of goes through the motions and progressions from point A to point B. Again, I'm going to avoid spoilers. But to sum it up, I just really loved what they did with Sentry here. I thought it was very interesting and very intriguing. And another issue that some MCU movies really struggle with is trying to tie in some things that happened in previous movies or previous TV shows. I feel like with Thunderbolts, it's not entirely the case here. Now, sure, you do need some context into why some characters feel a certain way or why they've been doing some things that they've been doing. I understand all of that, but it does work as its own thing for the most part. And another thing too, Thunderbolts just doesn't feel as generic or half-baked as a lot of MCU movies that we've gotten over the last couple of years. It really does feel like there was a lot of love and care put into the writing, put into the cinematography, cinematography put into the characters, which, like I mentioned earlier, is the heart of this movie. It's the characters. Some in particular, of course, get more shine, but you still have a nice unit here. Couple that with the main conflict of the movie that resonates with a lot of people on a personal level, then you've got something that just works for basically anybody. And I gotta be honest, it's just so refreshing. I mean, Captain America came out a couple of months ago, and man, I don't even remember that movie. It's really nice to just have an MCU movie that stands out amongst the rest. We haven't really had that in quite some time. And look, don't get me wrong, I saw Deadpool and Wolverine. I liked it, but man, Thunderbolts is just way better. I'm really hoping that a movie like Thunderbolts marks a new trajectory for the MCU and Marvel Studios, giving us some much better films consistently than what we were getting before. I'll tell you this much, it makes me more excited for Fantastic Four. But yeah, Thunderbolts, it's great. Go check it out. It's really, really good. Please, if you've seen it already, let me know in the comments what you thought about it. And until next time, peace.